There's a lot of new Miami Dolphins faces to really dig into that could have a huge impact for Miami this upcoming season. Of course, there's new guys in the coaching staff. There's a lot of new players, some rookies we really like. Of course, love Robinson coming out of Penn State. There's a lot of new additions to this fold, and even some young guys that are looking to break out and have bigger second and third years than earlier in their career. But there's one new Miami Dolphin that people aren't paying attention to who's going to have a huge impact based on recent reporting, and that is veteran defensive lineman Calais Campbell. And Campbell's going to do a lot of things for Miami, starting first and foremost with the impact he's going to have helping preach new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver's defense to the rest of the team. Let's get into the report, then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is courtesy of Touchdown Wire. Anthony Weaver is a guy I'm really familiar with, have a lot of respect for, and he's a big reason I really believe in this team, Campbell said. I know the kind of work ethic he has and just the kind of man he is, and I really think this defense is going to be a top. I don't want to go too crazy, but it's going to be a really good defense. This was Campbell saying, talking about Weaver. The report goes on to say Campbell's age and experience will also serve as a major benefit to a talented but young Dolphins locker room. Outside of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, Miami didn't have much playoff experience, deep playoff experience, a season ago, which was evident in their playoff loss to the Chiefs. But the most important aspect of the Campbell signing is that it will take away the shock of losing Wilkins and Davis. The Super Bowl is a big reason why I signed here because I feel like there's a really good opportunity here. Very talented team, Campbell said. I believe that I can help given who I am today, and I think I can bring a lot of value. I think that's putting it very mildly what Campbell's going to bring to this Dolphins team. As the report highlights, there's a lot of things he can do. And I think this may be one of the under the radar moves Miami made this entire offseason. Should have a huge impact for the Dolphins this coming fall. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Dolphins fans in the comment section below, we're talking defensive tackles. We're talking Calais Campbell. Who's your favorite Miami Dolphins defensive tackle of all time? There's a lot of very interesting names, but you can only pick one. Give us your favorite Miami Dolphins defensive tackle of all time and put them in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you check out the description box below for a link to our recommended summer reading for you guys. It's Playmakers. It's a great football book written by the great Mike Florio over at Pro Football Talk. Check out a link in the description below to access this book for a great summer reading. But Miles, let me throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this news involving Calais Campbell and the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, Nate, I think this is really Miami got a treat here. This is a match made in heaven. Two guys that are intimately knowledgeable about each other, two guys who really have blended together and they've done a lot. And I'm not really excited as much for what, Calais Campbell is going to be able to do in a familiar system. I'm excited about, like you alluded to in the article, how he's able to bring Anthony Weaver's message and take that to the defense, but specifically to the defensive line as well, because Weaver and Campbell have done a lot of good work developing defensive lines, especially if we take a look at what happened in Baltimore. They brought in a lot of great guys, and under the tutelage of Weaver, with Calais Campbell being there was a lot of guys that really started to shine, whether it was new guys that came into the team. You look at Justin Matabike, came in, was developed under a guy like Anthony Weaver, had Calais Campbell as tutor, came out, and now last year had an incredible season, one of the best defensive tackles in all of the NFL. Then comes other guys that come into the fold. They're the free agents, the older veterans who come into a defense and really were able to elevate their careers on the defensive line specifically. You look at pass rushers like Calvin Noy, James Houston, Calais Campbell himself came in and kind of had a revitalization of his career under Weaver's tutelage as the defensive line coach in Baltimore. So I think they're able to do a lot of great stuff. Now that Weaver is the defensive coordinator, he's got a lot to do. There's more responsibilities than him just boosting up the defensive line. So I think Calais Campbell coming in here and being like his number two guy, his man on the inside, his guy that's on the roster, I think it's going to do them a lot of good. And I think Miami's defense is going to see a significant increase in defensive play because I think Anthony Weaver is a fantastic defensive coordinator selection for them. But I also think we're going to see the defensive line really get a significant boost from Calais Campbell and what he's able to teach a lot of these other guys as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, but I think the leadership aspect of Calais Campbell, in terms of the overall team, teaching them how to be a team that has the ability to go deep in the playoffs, understanding the ups and downs of the season, going through that, being that vocal front office, or I'm sorry, vocal locker room presence that the Dolphins are missing and have missed over the past couple seasons. Say whatever you want about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, the guys mentioned in the article. I love Hill to death. I think he's one of the best players in the NFL. I think Jalen Ramsey is obviously an outstanding corner. But the reality is, neither of those two guys, leader isn't the first word that comes to mind when you think about Ramsey or Hill. But when you think of Calais Campbell, leader is the biggest thing that comes to mind. That's the role he's been in everywhere he's been in the National Football League. He has been an undeniable leader. He's been a great locker room presence. He's built every team he's been with up right to the point where a lot of times the team, especially on the defensive line, outperforms their talent level. I think this is exactly what the Dolphins need, right? Because we know this is a talented squad. We know this is a group that can win a lot of football games. Now they need something to push them over the edge to make a deep playoff run. And having a strong leadership presence like Calais Campbell, I think it's exactly what this team was missing. I think the Dolphins made a lot of really good moves, specifically the hiring of Weaver. I think that was a great hire. But I think the addition of Calais Campbell will have the biggest impact of any Dolphins move they made this entire offseason. And this new Miami Dolphin and Campbell will be huge for this team in 2024.